on the future of education. One of the biggest mistakes schools make is teaching things in a way that requires other things. This is similar to the madness of balanced education. It sounds reasonable, but it is just another crazy thing. When children ask what math is for, that is not a question to be brushed away. They are simply letting the teacher know that she lost her mind for teaching a subject without presenting a useful context first. Doing so is a pretty solid sign of fraud. Disconnected things increase student performance because they force students to memorize them. That is fraud. That is fraud. The more difficult subjects are actually good drivers for quickly learning the prerequisite in a neat context. Learning programming by starting with a game design is a wonderful example. Here, there is a need for fractals, for calculus, and trigonometry for placing things on the screen. Here, a person who has an interest in making games probably won't even notice learning numbers as the study of mathematics. The word that they may use is computation. And while nothing should be timed, as that is a severely stupid idea, there will be students who will master trigonometric functions in minutes. Some may not even register mastering them. But it would be nice to peek at the source code of the functions. Writing one's own library with useful helper functions is always great fun. See, the big problem here is that a lot of those students, those brilliant students, would fail trigonometry without the context of game graphics and game design. They are failing school, but they are not failing their genius. Many just become convinced that they don't have it. The teachers love anything that makes their grades stick so that they can put food on their table. Needless to say, learning arithmetic and algebra by starting with calculus is a really bad example, as all three of those are taken out of context. You will find that schools strip things down to the very minimum, making the subject easy to test and making it easy to show evidence of some fake progress. Normal people do not learn by memorizing. Normal people learn by understanding a thing in a context that is relevant and useful to them. You can flavor a programming language with an exciting, infinitely large, procedurally generated game, because there is something magical about virtual worlds. In the world of mathematics, teaching generative art and cellular automata, or even orbital dynamics, be it for game development or launching CubeSats, can create a useful context for many. Different people will have unique aims. It is those aims that will set the correct context to learn for real in. Real lectures open in the beginning and close in the end. They form a coherent and useful whole. Assuming the student knows is one of the biggest failures in modern education, perhaps a close second to the entirety of the fraud of it all. We need to learn to understand that when something is divided into a meaningless unit, one that is disconnected from the rest of the world of mathematics, for example, then that simply means it has little to do with mathematics or anything, and thus really is meaningless. The moment the student asks why we need to know this subject is the moment that marks the school's complete failure. It is simply not true that those who graduate with better grades are more intelligent, considering how crude and broken schools are. That may be an indicator of a mindset that will make for a useful employee, however, for a company that cares little about mental health or presenting a real retirement plan in the end. I am sorry to say this, but there may not be a way to fix schools. The idea is wonderful, but the implementation is easily exploited, and it does not scale at all. Lectures have to be personal. They have to be relevant to each of the students' unique aims. They have to resist fraud completely, as they deal with people who do not have the experience to spot it. No tests. For example, tests cannot test if a programmer can write programs. Only writing and publishing the program will work in this case. No grades. Only the result matters. Grades only contribute to the fraud. Teachers manipulate grades to ensure that nothing out of the ordinary registers. They are grading their own performance, after all. This means that video-based, computerized education, done right, is a good candidate. But lecture quality has to be on par with world's bestsellers. I can't quite imagine what that would look like. A fascinating, inspirational 2-hour movie-like experience for every lecture. They have to be the books, audiobooks, video lectures, and movies that are truly worthy of the students that represent the future of humankind.